We need an intro, Steven.
Yeah. It could be like we can have that Caillou song.
Fucking Lil B.
Yeah.
Lil B. Bro, some weird shit's been happening with Lil B. Speaking of that, it's funny that you brought that up. First of all, welcome. We don't really have a name for this thing that we're trying to call a podcast yet, but eventually we would like to. My name is Lance, and this is one of my best buds, Steven. If you guys don't know who he is, you can find him on Twitter at...
Yes, sir. I, Stevie TV, the seasonal streamer.
The once-a-year streamer.
Fucking... Yeah, I'm like that guy that's here for Black Friday, but then you won't see for the rest of the year. Like, that's me.
Fucking live and in the flesh. We would like to potentially get to a point where we can do this thing in person with like a set and all that shit, but we're too scuffed for that right now. And on top of that, he lives a couple hours away from me, and that's just a pain in the fucking ass to do. So maybe one day we'll get to where we can do this shit in person. But for right now, this is what we got, so we're gonna work with it. But on the topic of Lil B, Lil B has been sending random women on the internet proposals to pay to write on themselves, "I love Lil B," with like marker, like on parts of their body, and then he uses that as like marketing. And the only reason why I heard about this is because there is he contacted a few Twitch streamers, a few like lady Twitch streamers that promptly said fuck you and called him out and was like posting the email and shit. And like I went and looked at it and I was like, oh my god, this is actual fucking username. And then if you go to his page, he's like legit like retweeting women with marker on their like stomach and shin and stuff. And it's really weird because he tries to make it not creepy, but in turn he just makes it more creepy.
Very creepy.
Yeah. He's like, I really love your page. Like, I'll like it, and you're really cute, and all this stuff. And it's like that just comes off real strange,
a little rapey.
And you wouldn't imagine that somebody with that kind of platform would need to do that. Is like Lil B that irrelevant now? Like, I remember he was kind of relevant for a little bit. Wasn't he the one that did the Kevin Durant song?
So I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know who that is. I just know of him through you, which means he couldn't have ever been really that relevant because I try to stay hip with all the youngsters. I thought a complete boomer.
I thought he was the one that did that song. It's like Kevin Durant. He was like Ice JJ Fish, kind of like before Ice JJ Fish a little bit.
Yes,
like,
yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
He was known for like terrible raps.
So, yeah, no. Like I said, I don't know if I've ever like looked up anything on him like at all, actually. But on the topic of that, did you hear about the whole Adrian Bronner situation?
No, what is that?
Yo, he got caught sliding into that Bad Baby, the like 16-year-old chick that was on the Dr. Phil show, all crazy like.
It's not the Cash Me Outside girl, right?
Yes, that is her. Yes.
Oh, shit.
But he got caught sliding into her DMs, bro. And then she straight up called him out on it on Instagram, like screenshotted it and everything.
Of course she is.
Of like him was like he was like trying to hit on her and stuff like that. Straight up put him on blast.
How long ago was that?
And this was like a week ago. Like
a
week
for
or two
real?
ago.
I feel like he's not the first one to get caught up in that. Because wasn't she in like some Kodak Black like music video and then Kodak was getting roasted for it?
Yeah, so like the thing is where like I kind of respect Adrian Bronner because he's never been my kind of boxer. Like I think he's a piece of shit, to be honest with you. I get tired of like him and his arrogant self. But like where I will give him like mad props on that whole situation, which he dealt with that in probably the best way. And anyone that ever gets caught doing some scuzzy should do it just like him. He straight up was like, yeah, I did it. I didn't know she was 16. She carries herself way differently than a 16-year-old should. But he was like, yeah, no, I did it. It was an honest mistake.
Is she still
like he didn't
16?
try like denying it. Yeah, dude. That's what I said. Like when I saw that, I was like, bro, she's been 16 for the last 5 years.
Right? Like she's been 16 since my ass was in high school. Like, and that's like, there's no way. What the fuck is going on with her age, dude?
Yeah,
What
let
is
me let me
that?
look at it, dude. Because that means like when she was on the Dr. Phil show, right?
She would have had to been like 10.
Yeah, dude. Which makes that a whole lot worse than.
I think no, because Catch Me Outside. When was that big? Was I in college? I think it was like my freshman year of college, maybe when that was big. Maybe it was after that.
Let me see. So she was born. Yeah, dude. She is 16 years old. She was born in 2003.
Look up when she was on the Dr. Phil show, like when that episode aired, because that would have had to have been like my. I graduated in 2012.
Catch Me Outside was 2017.
Really?
So you're talking about the remix that people made, like before she ever made a song, like the actual song. Because remember, that's what she did that on Dr. Phil's show, and that's when people started remixing it. Because like there was Dr. Phil's like trying to like roast her, and the crowd's going crazy, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Catch Me Outside, how about that?" And like people actually like started putting in songs and stuff.
When was she on the Dr. Phil show?
She was on Dr. Phil. Wow, dude, it was not that long ago.
There's no way.
2016.
No,
it was 4 years ago.
There's no way. It's
4
not
years
possible.
ago.
What? No.
She was. Let me see. Because the segment was, I want to give up my car stealing, knife wielding, twerking 13-year-old daughter, who tried to frame me for a crime, and it was Danielle Bergoli.
So that would have been, bro. I would have been in my like third year. What the fuck?
I feel like she was. I feel like that was so long ago, though.
Bro, I'm having like one of those like what's it called, the Mandela effect, where like people remember shit differently than what it actually is. I honestly felt like I was in high school. Like I was like making up shit in my head of people saying "Cash Me Outside" when I was in high school. I was like, yeah, dude, she was in fucking. I was in high school when that happened.
Yeah, bro. It's like, so are you a Shazam guy or a Kazam guy?
What's That's the actual movie? It's Kazam, right?
I always thought it was Shazam, but I think it is Kazam.
Fuck. Because they even went so far as to like make a spoof video of it with they like made a fake advertisement to like feed into it and like made it worse. Where like he like pops out and there's these kids in the attic and like, you know, they even like faked an advertisement for it like years after, like whenever it was like picking up steam and shit.
Yeah, dude. Thing is, like, that was my mind was blown because now I'm bothered now because now I can't remember what it actually is called, because I remember I was on the side of it of like I'm the one that had made it up, I guess, like that it had never like been a thing.
Well, also the actor's different, isn't it? Because isn't it Shaquille O'Neal in the real one? I could be wrong about that too. I thought like everything about it is wrong, like even the actor and the title of the movie. I thought it was. Oh my god.
No, so Kazam is the movie with Shaq.
Yeah, so Kazam. Yeah. And Shazam is the one that people thought had Sinbad, right?
Yes. And
that's the Mandela effect. People thought that they like made images and like made a fake advertisement for like Sinbad in a wizard movie, and like in interviews he's been like, "Yeah, I've never been in It's like, yeah, I've never done that."
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's right here actually. Sorry, internet, Sinbad never played a genie in Shazam doesn't exist. Yeah. I was one of the ones that like remembered it as being Shazam, bro. On everything, dude. I told everybody. I used to get in like arguments like, I swear to God, I'm not fucking crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Don't hate on me because you're not cultured. Uncultured swine.
That's
But
hilarious.
I was one of those ones that that remembered it like that.
That's wild, dude. What are the other ones? The fucking is it the Berenstein Bears or the the Berenstein? Yeah, whatever the fuck it is.
Like that. Yeah, I was on the side of like what it actually was on that one. So like that one wasn't as cool to me. But that was all that stuff started becoming really big back when you remember like those pictures that would be like, hey, if you see this, then this is who you are, or you could see this, but it was the same ass picture in both. Like that's back when like everything was about like what kind, like who are you, and it was like trying to always like segregate the entire like human race. Because like you were either this side of humanity or you were this side of humanity, and it all like tried saying that off of a fucking picture. What
was it? Is it like one of those where like it's it's just like images on the screen, and like if you see like it's
Yeah.
it's like
The
if you
dress,
see a
is it a blue dress or a gold dress or something like that? I think is what it was.
okay, that I thought you were talking about those ones. It's like you have to look deeper into the picture to see more. So like it'll look like a tree, but then like some people see it as like a guy sucking a dick or something.
Yeah, dude. See, like I like that stuff's kind of funny actually. But and then like that always reminds me of Fallout New Vegas, like when they show you all those pictures and they were like that, like it determines how like what kind of character you're gonna have, and it's like I didn't feel like that ever like really changed anything in the game ever. So I was always the dude that would just like skip through it, and I would be like a complete anarchist and was like, I see a nuke going off, killing everybody.
Yeah.
Blood everywhere.
It's like an ink blot test, but it's just fucking bullshit. Yeah, those are always fucking weird. Kylie,
those always just like kind of frustrate me though.
Kylie
just
brought
for the concept
one up that it wasn't one of those, but it was like one of those pictures that like deceives you, and it was like the caption was like, I thought Grandpa was on his freak shit, and it's like these two old people sitting there, and like this old lady has her legs crossed, but the way it looks like his hand is like in her vagina.
Oof.
Like, but it's not.
No, yeah,
it's just like her hand or something. But the way like the angle is, it literally looks like in the captions, Grandpa's on his freak shit again. It just showed me that like it was like a week or two ago, but it's probably an old picture.
The only reason why I've never liked stuff like that, dude, is I hate. So anything that can classify me in an accurate sense that puts me in denial, I hate.
You see yourself and you're like,
yeah,
what?
or like, so I'm big on like just through all my leadership stuff, right, through Kroger and Best Buy and stuff like that. They always try to do like leadership tests, right, and every one of them put me in denial because they're me spot on. It's like, no, that's not me. And like, you're just like, there's no way this test based on these 20 questions do not know who I am. And then like it is 100% accurate, and it's even more frustrating.
I can never do those tests accurately. If I'm taking a personality quiz or something, I can never answer honestly. I always answer because I know what I would pick, and I don't pick that. It's weird. I like go against my own grain, or like I go with what I know to be right rather than what I would actually do. Like, it's like, would you go into this burning building and save this family and these 3 cats? Fuck no, I wouldn't. I would call the goddamn fire department and watch, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't run away, but I'm not running into a burning building to save a bunch of strangers because I know that's not what I would do. On that test, though, I'm like, I'm all for it. Like, I'm running into the burning building. I answer more for what I know is correct.
Yeah, more chivalry, like, or like what you would want to be.
Yeah, like I can never answer honestly. It's like some stranger comes up to you and asks you to buy drugs. What do you do? In real life, I'd probably just buy the fucking drugs. But you know, like, or there's another option. It's like, report him to the authorities. Like, no, I'm not gonna report the dude for doing that. Like, I'll probably just buy the shit. I don't know. You know, I can't answer those. Honestly, I answer based on like how I would like society to view me, because I think they're gonna like. So I always come up with the wrong thing. Like, I'm in reality, I should be the shithead, but.
Well, so the one that I've seen, right, that is the most recent one that I took. I can't remember the name of it, but I had to take it for work, and it's probably been hands down the most accurate. And how it starts is, don't answer these questions based on who you are now. Answer the questions on who you were growing up. Like, so you literally, it asks questions more geared towards exact situations and how you would have, like how you did handle them, right? Like, you're on the playground and a kid walks up and takes your ball. How did you react?
I cried.
Right?
That's what I fucking did. I cried.
But all that kind of stuff, right? And it categorizes you in one of 9 numbers. And through those 9 numbers, like, it would tell you, obviously, what's your number. What do you relate as? It will also tell you, like, when you're at your worst, like when you are being a scumbag, what do you identify as? And then it will also tell you, like, what do you wish to be, right? And then, dude, like that, I've never seen a more accurate one. Like, dude, I would go to work, because like after I did it, right, me trying to be an overachiever in life, I had all of my employees take it, right? Yeah. And I literally brought 3 people to tears, because like what it would do is it would say all that stuff, But then like you could go online and they have obviously links that's like, hey, go here and give you more details on like your love life and just a bunch of extra shit, right? And the amount of accuracy it would have on some people, like literally would just make them cry, because it was stuff like
Just fuck them up like that?
dude, because it would say stuff that like when I would read it, I'd be like, there's no way that's that person. But then that person was like, that is me, like to a scary extent, and they hated admitting that that was them. Like it was more like hidden shit of like they try to be something they're not, or like it would bring up like a triggering thing from their past that's like, I want to forget about that. Like, I can't believe this thing is able to, like, it would call out your insecurities and stuff like that. Yeah, bro, it got real deep, real fast.
That's on that tarot card, fortune teller,
Dude,
palm reading bullshit.
Dude, but you'll have to take it one of these times because it's so accurate, right? Like mine's like, mine was, I can't even remember the number that I was, but I was the achiever. And like in there, like the good things are, it's like, oh, you're motivated and you're driven and like you're so achievements based. And then like the bad side of it is though, like you're not afraid to ruin other people's life for your own success and all stuff like that. And I was like, damn, why does it gotta be all that? Like, but like, and then it would sit there and say like, when you feel uncomfortable, this is the person that you become, and all that kind of stuff like that. And I was like, dude, it was scary accurate. But like I said, when I had one of my employees take it, and he just started sobbing because it brought up like his past with his family, and like because he doesn't have a very good relationship with his like mom and dad and stuff like that. And it brought up like that stuff. I was like, oof. I just wanted to know how to like deal with you when you're being a shithead. Didn't know I was gonna do all this.
I thought this shit was gonna be fun. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like most of these, they're like, you were meant to be a fucking doctor. You were meant to be a veterinarian. You are a caring soul, or you are, you work better alone than in a group. And you're telling me about the time that my uncle locked me in the closet, you know, at the family gathering or some shit. Like,
right.
I don't need to hear all that. I know that happened. Stop bringing it up. I don't need it.
By the next episode, I'll try to find it because I can't remember the name of it. It's got like some weird name, but like, it's got a bunch of signs backed up on it, and a lot of like Forbes 500 companies have like their board members do it and stuff like that.
These are for like team building shit.
Yeah, because it also like the biggest thing the reason why obviously Best Buy did it was, so like if I'm this number and your GM is this number, like how can you better communicate, right? And that's the whole purpose of it, is not necessarily to get to know people, but it's like, hey, you guys aren't always going to see eye to eye, but next time you bring up an issue, like if you're talking to an 8, bring it up like this type thing. Like it's so you two can better understand and come on like a medium ground or whatever.
So I'm a Capricorn and you're a Taurus. That's what that reminds me of. If I'm being honest.
I've never liked that stuff.
Yeah, but that's what it sounds like, though.
Right.
I get it that like there's more behind this, but it's like, fucking, an Aquarius can't date a Sagittarius. There's just too much tension there. That's what it. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I can't like that. That's a. Sorry to sound terrible here. That's a very female thing. Every female I've ever like been around lives by that. You
don't see, at least in person, in my experience, I don't see many males that openly talk about astrology. Or is that what it's called? No, it's not astrology. I think so. It's astronomy. No, what the fuck is it called? I think
astronomy's right. No, I don't know either.
The signs, whatever the fuck those are. When you're born and what?
Yes.
Yeah, that shit. I do see more women talk about it than men. I will say that. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's a thing where like they fucking read about it in the newspaper because they think it's interesting or what. Like I know I'm a Capricorn. That's about all I know about it. I don't know what they're supposed to.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I don't know what I'm supposed to eat for breakfast on Tuesday. You know, I don't know those things. I know what it's called. Sort of, not really, because I don't know.
The longer this podcast goes on, the more ignorant I feel like we are. So this is interesting. Make me feel like I'm a complete piece of shit.
Well, yeah, because I don't remember the name of the thing. What the fuck is it called? It's
that could be what we call the podcast. Ignorance is bliss.
The zodiac signs, but like, what is the study of those?
I think the first one you said was right. Astrology or whatever.
Let me look it up. Fucking astrology. Can I spell it? Am I smart enough to fucking spell it? Can I get a vowel, Alex, please? Astrology is a oh damn, dude, fucking even Google's hating on it. Astrology is a pseudoscience that claims to divine information about human affairs and terrestrial events by studying the movements and relative positions of celestial objects. So yes, it's astrology. Horoscopes, that was the other word I was looking for, was like people that look at your horoscope like in the morning or whatever.
Right.
Get like those horoscope calendars and shit where you rip it off and it's like, today you will be met with prosperity and kindness. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. It's very generic, but
I feel like your wife would be really into that.
I think she's looked it up a few times. I don't think she's like super into it. But like I think she knows like it's probably like whatever. I feel like it's like waking up and cracking open a fortune cookie and being like, "Oh, this is my day today." That's what horoscopes feel like to me. Like
there's some people that like live by that though.
Well, I mean, some people live by, you know, Christianity and shit like that too. It's just like it's like belief in something. But so like whatever gets them through the day, that's cool. It's just I have a hard time trusting what Tina typed out at the fucking company, you know, for that day, because that's what it is. They go through and they just fucking somebody had to write that shit. It didn't just drop out of the sky, you know.
Yeah,
so,
but see, like that's the thing. Like it's those people that like put them in their dating profile. Like, hi, I'm a Libra, can't date Virgos, Capricorns are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a lot of people that do it to keep up with it, and they think it's like fun to do, but they don't really believe in it. But then there's those people, and it's like you just know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting sometimes. Like anytime it's ever popped up on like a Facebook feed of like it'll show like all the signs and like it'll be like shit, I'm trying to think of a good example of it. It'll sit there and say like based on your sign is what you prefer and stuff like that, and I'm like, I know, I definitely prefer like buffalo chicken over tacos. I don't care what the cancers say. Like, but it's entertaining at least. Of like, it just makes me chuckle.
And I think more people check it. If I was a betting man, I bet more people do check it for that, like for the entertainment, than they check their horoscope for that, than they do actually live by it. But like,
right.
When you do see those people that like you're like, you definitely believe this shit. I almost like feel bad, but I don't at the same time. Like I feel bad because it's like they allow something that some other human typed onto a piece of paper to like dictate how they live their day-to-day life. And like they almost can't make a choice for themselves.
Right.
You know, whenever they believe that much in it, you really can't make a choice for yourself. You can't make a decision on a day-to-day. You can't even pick out like what you're supposed to eat or wear or whatever. So you almost feel bad for them, but at the same time, it's like, ignorance is bliss, I guess. You know, like they're usually blissfully happy. They never seem to be like these super depressed people. They're just
not
like
at all.
Living life, you know. I resent them for being so goddamn happy. You motherfucker. How dare you?
How dare you be happy?
How dare you find happiness in something I don't understand? How dare you?
Yeah.
You piece of shit.
You're the problem. No, I don't know. I try to maintain my own level of unhappiness in life. So,
yeah.
What do you being 2020, man? New decade. What kind of? I don't even want to say New Year's resolutions, but like, what do you want? What do you want out of this next decade, my guy?
Oh, it's.
How old are you? How old are you? 24?
I'm 26.
Oh my god, dude, you're not a baby anymore.
I know. What are you?
26. So you're gonna be like dead in 10 years. So like, where do you want to be before death?
You're 2 years ahead of me, right? You're 28.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you'll be, dude. You're almost 30. That's an interesting.
I'm almost dead, right? That's what I said. Like, what do you want to get done before you die?
Honestly, it's a fucking, what's that expression? Same shit, different day. Just kind of one of those things. Like, I'm just gonna keep doing the shit that I want to do. And we talked about it before the podcast, so I'm not gonna rehash all of it. But for the listeners and everything, I guess one of the things was to start this fucking podcast about 2 months ago.
We've been talking about it for what, fucking 6 years now?
Years, and we just never really like pulled the trigger on it. But you know, we thought about this completely original idea of doing a podcast that, nobody does these. These are
Yeah,
the groundbreaking shit.
They don't have websites based for podcasts or anything like that.
So, I was this podcast. That was one of them. I guess just to get that rolling. And we're going to, for this year, we've got, I'm working on doing some more stand-up stuff. And I'm looking at, kind of figuring out how I want to go about doing that. Because I don't live in an area that's got a bustling stand-up community, obviously. There's a few places around here that I could do it, but I'd probably have to travel and shit. So I'm making some calls and figuring out all that shit. And then just status quo, just going to keep fucking streaming and doing that and trying to be a better entertainer, so to speak. Try to flex the brain a little bit and just get better at what I do. That's I think the biggest thing for me is just commit and try to get better at shit. Try to be
right
more observant and see what I can do to really challenge myself creatively in a sense of not only humor, but I guess just kind of absorbing more knowledge and not just kind of like walking past things, like being a little bit more observant. But
right, yeah, somebody like I think it was like a customer at work the other day. Like that's what like made me think of it. Right, it's like everyone always talks about like New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, and like I never. I mean, you and I have talked about this before. Like I've never been a New Year's resolution type of guy. I think they're a joke. I don't think any type of New Year type thing is going to change your mindset and outlook on life. But a customer was like, "Hey, like you're still fairly young. Like, when are you going to stop breaking your life into the year to year and start talking about like your 5 years from now, like the next decade?" I sat there and thought to myself, I was like, "Where do I want to be by 2030?" Right? Like, by then I'm 38 years old, right? Like, what did I achieve in the last decade, right? Because my last decade, like when I sit there and break it up, like I had a pretty good decade, right? I had my little shithead son. I bought 2 cars. I've lived a pretty good life, right? Bought a lot of nice things and really haven't traveled. I think that's like it's something in the next 10 years I would like to do. I would like to travel more. I think like going up north for your and Kylie's wedding like made me realize that like outside of city of Columbus, dude, like I don't go anywhere. So I was like, it was pretty cool like being somewhere new and like driving the back roads and trying to find like places to buy stuff and all that kind of stuff. Like it was pretty neat, and like it just made me sit there and think like, dude, I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything.
Oh right? Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with circumstance too, though. Like you can't just like up and be like, yo, I'm gonna go spend a week in Tahiti or some shit because you got a kid and that kid relies on you and all that shit. But like I get that. I 100% get that. You fucking new experiences. That's cool. Fucking they talked about that. Dave Chappelle just won the Mark Twain Award for it was like humor person of the year or something. It's a big comedy award essentially. And they were telling stories about him and like he essentially told people to like was telling somebody to like put their phone away because he's not trying to like he's making memories essentially. He's not doing shit or like experiencing shit to like put it online or like record it or whatever. Like he's there to like make a memory essentially. So like I get that. Like as you get older too, you stop giving a shit as much about. I mean, I'm only 26, so I don't want to talk like I'm fucking 40, but I know how I am. Like, and it I've talked about it before. If social media wasn't such like a driving force for like business and content and what I'm wanting to accomplish overall, if it wasn't such a driving factor in that, I probably wouldn't use it just because I value, like we threw a New Year's party and had like 20 people over and all that shit. And like, I didn't even know where my phone was the whole time. Kylie kept asking me like if we should take pictures and shit. And I was like, no, fuck that. Like, I don't want my phone. Like, I don't want it near me.
I don't like people.
I wasn't like recording a bunch of shit, or like putting it on Instagram and shit. I talked about it and I told people like, yo, we're throwing a party tonight. And, we had people over playing drinking games, having fun, but like I didn't have my phone. But that's who I am. I'm not like attached to.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm not attached to my phone. I don't know where it is half the time. The only times I need it, because I hate writing shit down like by hand. So like I have it if I'm like working on jokes or if I'm like, because I'd much prefer to type it into like a notes thing on my phone. So like I have it for that, but I'm not attached to it. So I definitely get where you're coming from, where you're like, I want to travel, I want to see some shit. Like,
yeah, I just want to do something different, man. Like I
Yeah.
don't like wealth. Don't get me wrong, wealth is cool, but like I'm not gonna think like that shallow brained of like. Cause I feel like that's what I worked the last decade for, right? Is to like build a foundation for myself, which obviously that's like a never ending thing that you work towards, like of course, but like when I sit back like and think of like what do I really want, right? And it comes back to me that I just don't do a whole lot and I don't travel a whole lot. Like it'd be nice to I don't know, like take a weekend off, go to Canada, right? Just because I can, not for any given reason, right?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that to me is what I would really like out of the next decade of not only like the normal shit, right? Like, oh yeah, obviously get a family and start to do some like family type things with my life. But that also being said, like on a more serious side of things of like just get more enjoyment out of life, you know what I mean? Like not try to be so closed-minded and say yes instead of saying no so much because of work and all that stuff. I've always had to say no to a lot of things in the last decade. Like obviously besides Jackson, like the no because of my son, like that's super simple, right? But like the I'm too tired, like I just want to like throw that away for the next decade, man, of like because I joke about it all the time, man, but like 28 still pretty young. Like I still got a lot of life to live, and I'm just like, man, like that's that when that customer said that to me, I'm like, man, you are absolutely right.
Some old Vietnam vet comes up to you and is like, what are you doing with your life? They ain't got shit like, to do. They're just in Best Buy to look around and fucking start
just
giving
they want
you
a
life
friend.
Lessons and shit.
Yeah,
they come in, they're fucking.
And like I said, I was okay with it. It really made me like walk away from the interaction. I was just like thinking, I was like, man, like I don't think about that enough, right? Like because I think we just as adults we get so hung up on like the day to day of like what am I gonna do today or what do I have to do today or maybe within the next week, right? But like very often like I catch myself not creating like actual true like long term but still short term, right? 10 years is a long time, but in the like I guess life like on an average that's like 1/7 of someone's life, so it's still a big portion of your life. But then you sit back and think of,
but like I don't count those early years are good for like shaping kind of like how you view the world, but I don't count the first 16 years of my life before I got like a driver's license, because like really like I know people say you become an adult at 18. I felt like more of an adult when I was like 16.
Right.
Just because I could drive, I could do shit on my own and all that stuff. So like, I really feel like I'm still like I feel like I'm still just figuring shit out. Like I'm 26. I feel like I'm an 8-year-old, you know, or like a 10-year-old, you know what I mean? Like you start to really get out in the world and you fucking start paying taxes and you start seeing shit for how it's meant to be seen. And you don't see it through like how your parents wanted you to view shit. Like, cause I view things differently and I feel differently about things now than I did whenever I lived at home, you know, like I really do, obviously. So it's one of those great things about like growing and like seeing shit. But I do get you with the like day-to-day shit. It's real easy to get wrapped up in the what do I have to do and not actually being present while you're doing it, like mentally, and like what you're actually working on. Like it's easy to fucking go to work and do the shit and then come home and just like, what the fuck did I do today? Because like you just you went through the motions and you kind of like went on autopilot. So like I get you though. Just try to be like more present, I guess, and like
yeah,
do
just
shit.
And not only that, like stop being so uptight, I suppose, right? Like get back to like just
unclench the asshole. It's not that serious.
Yeah, dude. Don't be so tight butthole all the time.
No, I feel it. I we had talked about this too, but one of the big things that I've really been, I guess, focusing on is not talking too much, and it's so counterproductive because we're literally, the whole point of a podcast is to talk, but like not talking about all the shit that I'm necessarily wanting to do and just doing it and not thinking about it and not stressing about it, because I'll overthink things to a point where like I don't want to try shit, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't done a lot of things in the past, is like, you think about it, it's like, oh, I want to do that. Whether it's, this fucking podcast, whatever, or with streaming. I feel like a lot of fucking streamers and YouTubers like deal with this, where like they think about things that they want to do, but not everybody is meant to be a planner. Like Kylie is a planner, and
yes, I know.
She stresses though. Like it gives her major anxiety to a point where like she can't sleep, and she like will, she acts differently just because like she's planning something and it stresses her out, but that's still her personality. She plans. I don't plan shit, but I tried to make myself a planner for the last few years, and it doesn't work for me. It stresses me out to a point where like I overthink and then I don't do.
Right.
And I end up in this cycle of just inaction where I just sit here and I just like spew bullshit out of my mouth and I don't actually do anything about it. And I don't want to sound like one of those fucking gym bros that's like, just do, bro. That's why you're depressed and sad on the couch, bro. It's because you just got to get up and move. That's not what I'm trying to sound like. But like for me, like I wake up, I figure out what the fuck I have to do for the day. And then I don't think about any of the other things that go with that. I just go and I try to do it. And I told you that hit me really hard whenever Andrew Schultz said that on fucking Joe Rogan's podcast. Was he said he quit expecting anything, quit expecting things to happen. He quit expecting people to do shit for him. He quit expecting anything. He quit expecting a certain amount of views or a certain amount of people to show up. Like he was just gonna do, and that's what he was gonna focus on, because you can't control anything else. You just what you do. That's what I'm working on, and it's been good. It's been solid for me, at least, because it's fucking, when you quit thinking about all the things that can go wrong and you just do it, then it's surprising how few things actually go wrong. Like I feel like whenever you sit there and you harp on it, it's like, this can go wrong, this can go wrong. What if this happens?
Right.
What if this happens?
Yeah.
You're too prepared in a sense, which is like, instead of focusing on what you're supposed to be doing, you're just focusing on everything that can go wrong. And there's what's that old saying? Don't focus on everything that can go wrong. Focus on everything that can go right, I guess. Right. But I'm not even thinking about that either. Like, I'm just trying to just get the shit done, whether it's streaming or writing jokes or whatever it is. I just wake up and it's like, okay, it's time to do this. I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to think about, I'm just going to throw myself into it. I'm going to ignore the world and throw myself into it and not even let that fucking thought of yo, you suck, like come in, or like, oh, this could go wrong.
You do suck, but that's besides the point.
You know what? I'll suck at it all day long. At least I'm doing it. Like I'd rather do it and suck at it than not do it and sit there and talk about it all day.
Yeah,
that's
and wish that you would have done something about it.
Yeah, and it's just like I told you, like I'm not a planner, but I'm a worker. That's what I've always been a hard worker. I was never. Even when I played basketball, like I'm 6'2" and white as paste, like I was not gifted physically, but I worked from the time that I was 10 years old. Like I picked up a basketball when I was 5. And then when I was 10, I started working more towards like speed and agility and like actually trying to make my body work for me, Right. Because like I'm built more like a football player, but I tried harder to make my body work for what I wanted it to do. And so like by the time I was like 12, 13, I started getting a little bit faster. I started jumping a little bit higher. I got into high school and I was a lot faster, and I started jumping a lot higher, and I just worked towards what I wanted it to do for me. And I was never going to be 6'8", or anything like that, but I was willing to work for it. So like even whenever it comes to content creation or comedy, like I'm going to work. I'm just going to do what I know that I can do, and I'm going to control what I can control, which is how hard I work,
Right.
And that's what always drives me nuts is I've had trouble sleeping in the past, and like with sleep and things like that for different reasons, but I don't mind losing sleep. I don't mind sleeping 3 hours if I'm waking up and doing something. Now, if I didn't do anything all day and then I only slept 3 hours, then I just feel irresponsible on both ends, and then I get pissed off and I get stressed out, and then the loop continues where like I just sit there and do nothing because I'm stressed out. So
right.
At the very least, I'm going to control the shit that I can control, and I'm going to work. Like whether it's, I'm going to work on, if I suck at it, I'm going to work at it. That's all it is. Like if I suck for the next 5-10 years, but I figure this shit out by the time I'm 35, cool. Like but I'm gonna work to get it, and eventually I'm going to get it. The good has to come from the suck at some point. There cannot be a perpetual loop of sucking unless you just quit. Like if you quit, then you got to start back over. You know, like you can't. You can only suck for so long at anything before you realize, before you figure it out. And I'm willing to put in the time to figure it out now. You know.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Like, that's how I need to like view like I don't want to make this about streamer or nothing like that, man. But like that's how I gotta like envision. Because I was telling myself that the other night of at some point I would like to get back to streaming just to like either do or don't, right? Like because I have way too many days where I'm just like, man, I wish I would do this and then don't.
What kills me about you is you've been gaming more than ever.
Right.
But you have not been streaming, and I know it's a different experience, right? Like just chilling and gaming. But you could literally do you know how many people love it whenever a streamer just like is just gaming? They're not trying to do anything else. They're just
right.
Like it's become this weird thing. It's like come back around. People at a certain point wanted this like super production filled show, right? Where like you're doing everything. And there's still people that like that, but there's a lot of people that really enjoy just the roots. They miss the old, quote unquote, the old ways, you know? And if you're not trying to be, you know, I feel like I see it a lot in like Fortnite streamers. Now take that with a grain of salt. But like Fortnite streamers that literally all they were trying to do was just play Fortnite, and they weren't doing anything else. They were just playing Fortnite, you know? And that was, and it made them a career essentially. You know, some of these guys are averaging thousands of viewers, and they never did anything. They haven't told a single joke in their entire life. They weren't trying to be funny. They weren't trying to be Dr. Disrespect. They weren't trying to be a Tim the Tatman. They were literally just playing games, and people gravitated to their personality. And like, that's what kills me about you, is because I feel like you get tied up in the numbers and the view count and the shit fucks with you, and it's easy to let it fuck with you. You're not the only one. I've watched people come and go in this fucking shit for years. Like I've done it too. But the outcome is more important than the work. And and even not even like you can call streaming work if you want to, but what I'm saying is like the outcome is more important than the actual practice of doing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's more important to you than like. And like if you don't enjoy it, that's one thing. Like if you don't fucking like it, that's, you know, that's on, you know, that's a whole nother discussion. But like if you actually enjoy doing it, but you're not doing it because like you think you're a failure because people like aren't there or something, or like somebody doesn't show up one day or something like that, like that's a whole nother discussion, I guess. But I always felt like you should. I think you're good at it, but if you don't like it, that's something. Like you don't even have to commit to anything. It's, you know,
Fallout 76, dude, ruined my streaming career.
Fallout 76 ruined everybody's life.
I was gonna make it big on that game, and you know what? Just the game failed me, man. The game failed me.
The world owes you this. Fuck.
No, man. I was sitting there thinking, like, right when you were like, dude, you've been gaming more than ever. I was like, dude, I haven't been gaming that much. And I started thinking about, like, not even just WoW Classic, but then I started thinking about what was I playing hardcore before WoW Classic? Overwatch. Like, you and I were playing Overwatch every day, hours on end. Like, and then even before that, Apex. I was like, dude, like, the last, like, 8 months, I really have been gaming more than I have probably in the last 8 years. And,
I mean, and that's cool. Like, if you just want to game, like, gaming's great. Not everything has to be a profession or anything. But I'm just saying, like, if you want to stream, you might as well record what you're doing, you know, like, while you're doing it. It's not like you have to sit there and I mean, I fucking tweeted it out. I made a joke about it the other day where I was like, the streamer's like, hey, everybody, I'm really excited to show you all the new stuff. And the viewer's like, but you haven't streamed in like 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and then like the streamer's like, yeah, but like I'll be back soon, you know. And the viewer's like, okay, like when? And they're like, oh, probably next month after I figure out what font I want to use for this overlay. Like, if you're sitting there like trying to make this like grand re-entrance, like, you don't have to. You can just fucking start streaming, and like if something happens, something happens. But if not, you're doing literally nothing different than what you were doing anyway.
Yeah. Well, so like, because I was thinking about it too, because this is going to be a good 6 months of just the gaming world with Dragon Ball, Kakarot coming out.
Right, I forgot about that.
Super excited for, bro. Super excited for.
That's a single player game, right?
Yes, sir. It's a action RPG, so it's gonna be completely different than what they've been doing in the past, right? So like Xenoverse was kind of an RPG, but not really.
Doesn't it look the same though? They use the same graphics.
Yes, but the company that's making it, I guess, is really, really, really good with making like anime games, because they make it like very like comic book based, if that makes sense. Where they like it's how they do certain things, and they're very driven on trying to make it like an anime episode down to like the weird Japanese jokes and stuff like that will be made, and
like the goofy faces and shit that they do.
Yeah. Well, like, so like one of the things they showed in the trailer, right, is Goku. Everyone knows Goku does not have his tail anymore, but like in the game, if you want to go fishing, you throw your tail on. Like he literally like pulls his tail out of his pants and
just shoves it up his ass. Is
he literally he attaches it? He attaches it on his butt and he fishes with it. Literally bends over and just fishes with his tail. Right, there's a little quirky stuff like that, right? So stupid, but it's like I like that kind of stuff, right? That's like why I enjoy anime. But it's an action RPG where it's like they said like the combat is meant for PvE, not PvP. So don't expect to like have any like crazy game breaking moves that you'll use one time but won't use again. And they're saying like they're using like the Frieza fight where they'll be like you'll run into bosses, Broly, Frieza, Vegeta, Nappa, where like if you're not leveled up and you're not prepared, you are going to get your teeth kicked in, and you have to go back and gotta start grinding. And I was like, I like that.
So
man.
they're doing like an old school feel where like, I've noticed a lot of those games are coming back. Where like, I remember I played a game called Elix that's kind of like that, where if you're not prepared for a certain area, you'll kind of just get shit on. Like, it's not like a Skyrim where you can just go wherever and everything's leveled to you and you can do things at your own pace. It's more of the world is this way and you will respect that or you're going to die repeatedly.
Right.
And so that's interesting. I'm glad I like that gameplay style, though, because I don't like being able to do certain things at level 5. I just don't. Like, you know, I want to be able to... I want some end-game content that I can work towards.
Right. Well, so, and that's why I was like, dude, like, they're geniuses for how they're doing it, right? And it's just going to be the main Dragon Ball series, which everyone's like, oh, but it's been done numerous times. It's like, yes, I get that. I thoroughly understand that. But they've never done it like this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Budokai and Tenkaichi were kind of like, hey, you do this fight, then after the fight's over, you do this fight, and then you do this fight, and then you do this fight, right? And then Xenoverse kind of changed it, where it was like kind of open world-esque, but it was open world in a closed world like area, right?
Yeah.
Where, like when you were back at the hub, like you could that was open world and you can go and do whatever you wanted, but that wasn't what the entire game was.
Mm-hmm.
This game like is going to be a lot more open world, but like they're gonna have like Yamcha's hideout and then Kami's hideout and like different areas of the open world like kind of setting, right? But I don't know, dude. I'm just super excited for that one. And then Cyberpunk's coming out. Super excited for that.
Cyberpunk. Is that March or April?
That one is the one that comes out in March. I'm definitely probably going to get the collection edition of both that and Dragon Ball Kakarot, so that's $400 out of, because I'm an 8.
Well, then the Dragon Ball Z game comes out like this week, right?
Yeah, it's the 17th. So it's like right around the corner. Super excited for that.
I saw it on Steam,
but then there's the Resident Evil 3 remake that's coming out. Super excited for that.
When does that drop? Did they say anything?
That drops the same month as Cyberpunk. But that game being pretty, the game's pretty. That game's not like as time consuming, I would say, as what Cyberpunk is going to be. So like it's gonna be like Jackson's gonna probably play that one quite a bit, just in time. But then my game I'm super excited for, which I'm sure you can already contest this, Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming out. And that one comes out in April, I believe.
Oh yeah, but they're changing everything, aren't they? Like it's not even the same game. Like
I'm cool with it.
They're changing
I
literally
don't want the
everything.
same game. If I wanted the same game, I would get an emulator or I would plug in my PS1 Classic.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
play
like
it, right?
with any remake, it's like if they ever remade, like people have asked me about Knights of the Old Republic, right, or KOTOR. I talk about it all the time because it's one of my favorite games, if not like up there with my favorite games of all time. They're like, oh, are they gonna remake it? Like, would you buy a remake? And it's like, yeah, but I've told people like there are certain games that I don't want to remake. I just want like a remaster. Like I just want some updated graphics and make it to where it can run on modern machines. Because KOTOR 1 runs like hot garbage on PC. It lags. It like or not lags, but like if you run it above a certain frame rate, it makes it to where you can't control your character and shit. Like there's a lot of bugs on modern machines with older games, and I love the story. Like, don't fuck with it. I really enjoy it, so it's like I wonder how many fans they're gonna piss off if they mess it up. Like I wonder.
Well, so there's gonna be those little piss babies, like regardless of what they do to it, right? But what I like about it is Maximilian Dude probably said it best. He was like, I don't even want to call this a remake. He's like, I want to call this a reimagining. He's like, because it's so different. But he told me, like, dude, he was like, from the little demo that he got, he said it is probably going to go down as the best remake ever in any game ever. He said because they are doing enough to maintain the continuity of this is Final Fantasy VII, but they're also changing enough to one, bring in a new crowd, and to two, to get people that love the game to love the game again. Is kind of what I was getting from what he was saying.
Yeah.
Because he was like, dude, he was like, it was so good. Because like those people that are like, oh, it's an action RPG game, so like they're upset it's not turn-based. They have a setting that turns it into turn-based.
Oh,
just
so
like in an
both?
action setting. Yes, they're doing both. So you decide what you want to do.
I wonder
like,
if that breaks the game, though. I wonder if it's going to make like certain boss fights a lot easier on one setting or the other. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it will change it, right? Because like from the mindset of like difficulty, I think an action RPG is a lot more difficult than a turn-based game. Turn-based game, you can think about every move before you do it. While an action RPG, you gotta act in the moment right now.
Yes and no, though, because I was going to say the same thing about like, I feel like whenever you add turn-based combat in with the RNG, I don't know how Final Fantasy does it, but most turn-based games have a crit system. So you can take a lot more damage, and you can't really. There's also an RNG of like hitting or avoiding damage. Whereas I feel like if you do it the other way, then it turns into more skill on the character's part, kind of similar to Dark Souls, how people have beaten that without getting hit a single time. Like they don't even level up any of their stats. Like, and you can literally beat the whole game because of the skill of the player. So I think it's gonna adjust it there, where it's like more skilled players would be able to get through certain boss fights. Whereas like the turn-based combat you just have to sit there and like take damage in like a turn-based game, essentially. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to dodge every single thing. You're forced to sit there and just eat shit sometimes. And that's where I feel like that flip-flop back and forth. So I'm just curious how it's going to affect things, because it's obviously going to be more beneficial, I feel like, in certain areas to do the not turn-based. But I don't know. That's going to be interesting if they do it that way.
Yeah, either way, I'm super excited for it. I want the PlayStation demo to hurry up and come out, just so I can
are they
test
doing a
it.
demo?
Because, dude, I have not seen a negative. Well, so you didn't hear about the whole PlayStation leak? Like it was posted up on the marketplace, and then Sony like lost their mind, or Square Enix like lost their mind about it.
No, I didn't even see that shit.
Yeah, it was live for a day, or like 6 hours, some shit like that. Yeah, people were like, it was just the demo run that was at. When they announced it, what was that? E3? Or no, it wasn't E3. What? It was. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But it was the demo that they were allowing all of the reviewers to play.
Okay.
And like I'm excited with that. It's just like literally the first mission of the game. So which is kind of entertaining about that is Final Fantasy VII back in the day when it had a demo was they call it the bombing run, and It's the new one. That's literally the demo again. Is the bombing run, which I think is absolutely awesome. Where I'm the one person that's like, I'm still kind of like iffy on if to be upset, be a little pissed baby about, or if I'm kind of excited about it, is the episodic things they're talking about doing.
Where they release it in sections.
Yes. Like part 1, part 2, whatever, because they're saying part 1, like it's a love-hate thing. So like part 1 is going to be Midgar, which is the opening city of the game, right? Realistically, in the old game, you could get through Midgar in, I would say 4 or 5 hours. Like if you were trying to just run through it real quick.
If I was a casual player playing it, how long would it take? Because you, on the other hand, you like go to areas and grind this. I've watched you play this game before. You play it way different than like a casual fan would. Like if I bought this game for the first time and I don't have any attachment to the game, like how long would it take me to get through this area?
You could probably get through it in 6 to 8 hours, right?
Okay.
Just depending on like if you're grinding, if you're trying to like actually dive pretty deep into it, right? It really just depends. But it's not meant to be super long. Well, part 1 is supposed to be just only Midgar, and where I'm excited but kind of scared at the same time is they're saying the sheer size of this game is going to be different, right? So to me, like as a person that played it in the past, I get worried because I'm like, how can they cram that much new content into that little area, right? Because that wasn't even all of Disc 1. I wouldn't even say that's half of Disc 1.
Yeah.
Because Final Fantasy 7 was a 3-disc game. So it's like, I'm worried, but I'm excited because they were saying the sheer size of it is... so they were talking about Blu-ray discs and how Blu-ray discs are being used in games now. Mm-hmm. And the one that they used as an example was Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is 1 Blu-ray disc. They're saying part 1 is going to be 2 Blu-ray discs worth of content.
Well, Red Dead 2 it's like 100. You have the data disc, which is like 100 gigs. And then you have the play disc that you have to put in to like actually play the game. So I don't know how that shit works on consoles. I don't claim to understand that part. Like I don't know why the fuck there's 100 gigs on one disc and then you put that in to download it. Like I don't understand why I can't just like put in a key and download the shit like off servers. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm
right.
I'm always the guy that's like, why the fuck do I need these things? Why can't I just download the game? Like I don't know if the data disc makes it easier to download or if like they wanted it so that people that don't have online to be able to play, it's a single player game, you know, online's an option. So like the data disc is like, it has everything that you would be downloading anyway. So it makes it faster. And for people that don't have internet, like they just load the shit off the data disc onto the PlayStation.
Right.
I don't know how that works. But I'm always that guy that's like, why the fuck is this shit so big? I'm always
but then it's like I was telling someone else, I was like, it could be that size is because of the graphics, because the game looks very, very pretty.
Yeah, I know they did that with Kingdom Come. We were talking about that where like you have an option to download their like high res HD textures like after the fact. I think they're free. They might not be though. But like they had, the way they tested the game was like super high end. Like I think some of the textures were like in 8K or some shit.
Right.
For their test model, but they had to dumb it down for consoles at the time, and you can now download those HD textures, those super nice ones, like after the fact. So it like didn't bloat the original download like super bad. Whereas now I feel like a lot of the downloads are really bloated with that shit, like the graphics and textures and shit. Like it's not even content you're downloading. It's like the texture for this flower is 5 gigs or some shit, and I just don't. I don't get it.
And see, and that's where I get worried, right? Because if it's 2 massive discs of like graphical content, I will be kind of frustrated. Like excited, but frustrated.
Like there's no meat there. It's just fucking pretty.
Right. It's just it's the same shit you just played through, but it's because it's so pretty. Like you're talking about a 2 discs and you get 12 hours of gameplay, right? I will be stupid pissed. But we don't know. No one knows that part, right? Like the demo looks great. The game plays great. The whole like dialogue between characters, because they talk to each other, right? And that's the one thing people are kind of worried about is like everything was almost like dialogue and context based because like your characters were whatever you wanted them to be, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna be irritated if it's just no meat and potatoes to the content and the 2 discs that they're coming out with, or if it's just gonna be like more graphics based. But then I was also one of the people like, cause the little piss babies that are just want to complain about everything. My mindset is the reason why I'm excited for the episodic thing, right? Is Final Fantasy, the game that it is disc 1 was more storyline, story driven. Like, hey, this is how your characters meet. This is what they do. This is what you're going after. This is going to be the storyline of the game. And disc 2 was more exploration, right? So we're like, I'm excited is they're going to end up making Final Fantasy VII Part 2 or Episode 2 or whatever they want to call it will be on the next gen consoles where they can make the game a lot larger, a lot better, a lot more performance heavy.
Yeah, because it can handle it. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what Disc 2 was in the original anyways, was that's where you're out in the open world and you're running around and you're doing all these side quests. So I was like getting really, really excited because I was like, I'm not one of those people that's like, I've waited all these years. Like, I want the whole game now. Like, no, take your time to make a good fucking game.
It's gonna.
And I was
fucking. It's gonna turn into Elder Scrolls 6, bro. They're gonna release Part 1, and then you're gonna wait 11 years for Part 2 because they're just gonna be like, oh, but the next gen consoles. That's been Bethesda's fucking excuse for Elder Scrolls 6. They want the technological capabilities to do what they want to do when it's complete horseshit. But
right,
that's what it's gonna turn into.
As long as the game is good, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, if the game like exactly that, and the game comes out and it's shit, cool. Then let's rage at the time.
Yeah.
But I've always been one of those people of delay it. As long as I get a good game, I don't care how long I have to wait.
Yeah.
Just make it a good game.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than like Duke Nukem Forever that people waited 20 years and it was horse shit, right? Like, if I'm going to wait, I'm okay with waiting, but make it a good damn game.
Yeah, no, I feel it. That fucking Duke Nukem. No, I get it. I don't have a dog in that fight. Like, I don't have, for Final Fantasy.
Because you're never into it.
I never had a PlayStation. They were only PlayStation games, and they I was an Xbox kid. I was an original Xbox kid. I felt like one of those kids that had a Zune whenever everybody else had an iPod. Like, that's what I felt like. Because everybody, all my friends had PlayStations, dude. Nobody had Xbox when I was growing up, but I was like, dude, that's the console I want. It looks cool. Like, I want the Xbox, and so I got it. Came with this big ugly ass controller and shit, and it did have some exclusive games though, because if I didn't get an Xbox, I never would have experienced KOTOR, because the first KOTOR was an Xbox exclusive. So I never would have experienced that. So I'm very happy with the choice. But at the time when I was a kid, I was like, why do all my friends have PlayStation? This is stupid.
I was always a PlayStation guy until Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter came out, and then I my eyes were open to Xbox Live.
You know what
My
Xbox
life changed forever.
You know what Xbox also did better than PlayStation? Storage. The original Xbox had a hard drive in it.
Oh yeah.
And so I didn't need a memory card. I got one because I wanted the expansion and like could take my saves places if somebody did,
So when you sit there and think of people hate on the main Xbox, right? In the sense of people forget what that game did for gaming in general, like of how many things that gaming has taken out from that console. Like, it's so easy to sit there and say how revolutionary the PlayStation 2 was and the PS1 was and all that stuff like that. People tend to forget what all that the Xbox, the original Xbox, right? 360, yes, but like the original Xbox, like, because yes, on the PlayStation 2 you had online content, but not very good, right? Like, it wasn't anything to write home about, right? While the main Xbox had Halo, and Halo is what changed multiplayer for a lot of people. And I think people tend to forget about that, right? Is so many people talk about the revolutionary PlayStation consoles, but people
remember the games more than the console, in my opinion. For
that's
PlayStation.
What it is.
The games were so 100%. Good. And the controller, even a lot of people have hailed the Xbox controller to be much better than the PlayStation one. Not the original release. The original release Xbox controller was disgusting. It was ugly. It was unfunctional. But they actually streamlined it down to where what you had was almost essentially it was an Xbox 360 style looking controller with the joystick up top, and then the right joystick was lower for your right thumb.
Right.
It was the same style as the 360 controller, but it didn't have the bumpers. Instead, it had the black and white buttons, but they were also down by your thumb as well, so they weren't like up top anymore. And it was like that streamlined controller design has actually been a lot of people's favorite controller design as well. Like a lot of people don't like the Sony sticks being right next to each other. Like they don't like that twin stick feel of like them being down there. People say that it puts their hands in like a weird position sometimes, like holding it. I also agree. I was an Xbox kid all the way up until now. I've got the fucking PlayStation that you ended up giving me for the exclusive games, but I still prefer the Xbox 360 controller or the Xbox One controller over the
dog. That's why you just
controller.
get the Mad Cats and you just move the buttons the way you want. Get the MLG controller.
Bro, is Mad
Remember
Cat
that thing?
still in business?
I don't know.
Or did they go under? I thought they went under.
I did see. So did you see at CES how Alienware has a new like Switch-like thing in concept called the UFO?
Did they really?
Yeah. Do you have to see it? It does look pretty sick. It's literally the Switch, but you can play PC games on it.
That's dope.
But it's called the UFO. And what was funny was literally someone memed it and was like, "Does this not remind you of Mad Cats?" Like, because how Mad Cats was always trying to like create their own version of everything, bro. Everything. Because I'm pretty sure like the Mad Cats even had like
They had everything.
like a Scuff design controller before Scuff was ever a thing.
Yeah, no, they had everything. They also, I think it was Mad Cats is the ones that own like Triton headsets and shit.
Yup.
Which I
Gosh,
rocked my fucking Tritons. I love those goddamn things.
Dude, I was the biggest hater of Turtle Beach because I had Tritons. I was like, bro, don't get Turtle Beach, get Tritons.
First
bro.
headset I ever bought was fucking. I think they were the Turtle Beach 11s. That the white one with the big like, looked like the really big microphone.
Yeah.
I got those. They were $65, dude. I was so excited. I went home and fucking blasted. Like, I'm pretty sure I blew out my ears when I was younger doing that because I was like, I'm playing COD, dude. I'm turning these bitches all the way up. What's
I'm gonna
up?
hear everything. I'm gonna hear them breathing next to me, bro.
I'm gonna hear them fucking fart. We're gonna be on this shit, dude. And then I had one like grenade went off in the game, and I like threw the headset off. I was like, I can't do that. That's too loud. But they were just
Probably made the noise that Nick Swartzen made in Benchwarmers when he went outside. Just like threw his headset up.
He's just eating sunblock.
They taped the baseball bat to his hands.
Bro, did you know he's still doing stand up?
Yeah, dude, he's one of my favorite comedians actually.
I
haven't seen any of his new stuff lately, but
You can like
yes.
buy his fucking tickets. I think he's doing some shows this month. He's not doing like a ton, but I think he's either wrapping up a tour or he's like got a new thing. I think he might have a new special coming out at some point. But I was shocked. I didn't think he was still doing shit. I hadn't heard about him in a while. I didn't know of any movies he was in. I just thought that he was just...
Yeah, so I went to the show he had in Columbus years ago. It was one of the ones that Sarah and I went to. And the thing is, like, it was good. It wasn't the best stand-up I've been to. The best stand-up I've probably been to was Aziz Ansari. He was pretty awesome. Nick Swartzen, like, he was good. The problem was the jokes in which he did, I'd already seen that skit, right? So it's like, I could have just watched this on Netflix, my guy.
Well, that happens
like,
with comedy.
And it does, right? So, like, I still had a good time, right? It was a blast, but it was like you're laughing at the same jokes. So it's like he's trying to set up the joke and you already know the joke.
Well, that's why they say, like, the lifespan of a joke is very short, and that's the reason why a lot of comedians, if they release shit on YouTube, it's either years after they're done with the joke. Like, you'll see shit that people have posted that they did in 2014, but they just now posted it because they're done with that joke. Like they're done using it for a special or a tour or whatever. Or like if they do post it, it'll also be like crowd work. It's not like written shit that they've worked on, you know, because jokes die fast, bro. Like there's some people, like, you can see it. You can see the same joke once or twice and be over it. And that's why, like, traveling as like for comedians is so big. That's why they'll hit all these different cities and shit, because if you're just hitting the same spots over and over and over with similar material, it's not going to do as well for you. So like whenever comedians are working out like a special, they hit all these different spots because they're performing essentially the same set. It's going to be the same set. They just tweak it a little bit here and there, trying to figure out like how they want to set it up and how they want to put the set together. And they're trying out new jokes and shit. But that's why they travel, is because they don't want to hit the same spots and have people see the same jokes again, because these people are paying, anywhere from $20 to $30 to see the show. And if you're doing the same shit in front of the same crowd, you're just ripping them off at that point. Like, people aren't going to come back. They're,
right.
It's like, that's fucking lazy. Don't do that shit. But so I get it though. Like if he's doing like material that maybe you had seen, or like if he's pulling stuff from, I know a lot of actors, like people that have acted, they'll throw that shit into their sets, and sometimes you can kind of see that if you're a fan of what they've done in movies and shit.
Well, so the problem was, like, I'm a massive Nick Swartzen fan, so like I had just watched it so many times. Right? So like that's why I didn't want to be too critical, because I was like, part of it is my fault, 100%. Like, because I had overwatched a lot of the Nick Swartzen type stuff. Mm-hmm. But that also being said, like, the reason why I was so excited to get those tickets was because he was supposed to have a new show coming out. So I was like, oh, maybe he's trying to promote that, or he's going to do something. But no, that's not all what it was. So I was like, meh, whatever. But it was still good, man. Aziz Ansari, though, was really, really good. Really good.
Was that him that got basically crucified by cancel culture? For some shit that he said or did or something.
Probably.
It was I can't remember where it was that I heard that, and I don't keep up with all that, super closely, but it was a while back whenever stuff was real bad. And I don't know if it had to do with like the Me Too movement being like whenever it was like in full swing, or but I thought that he had gotten in like a lot of trouble for something, or like people were, I don't know if it was trouble, but like people were really, really mad at him. I think it was him. I don't want to fucking say, let me just see if anything comes up, but because I don't want to sit here and fucking say some shit that's just completely false. But I thought it was him, that he had gotten in trouble for something he had said. Let's see here. Thought it was him anyway. Oh, yeah. So it was this article. There's an article here that came out in January of 2018. So the beginning of 2018. And apparently all the headline says is Aziz Ansari responds to accusation of sexual misconduct. So I think like he was wrapped up in part of the like Me Too movement shit and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't know about it.
I don't know if it's true. I'm just reading like that. That's what I'm remembering is that shit. He was wrapped up in some of that stuff. Again, I don't know if he actually did it. I don't know the whole story, but I'm just glad I fucking remembered the shit right, that it was the right dude. But
you know who I miss though as a comedian?
Who?
Carlos Mencia. I get it. He was like copying jokes. I get all that.
Oh,
I loved his show
copying
though.
it word for word, man. His shit was bad.
Dude, I loved his show though. Like, I get it.
He
like,
still does stand up. You can go see him. I think he performs in like North Carolina. Or
his stand up is ruined. His stand up is like it's done. Right? Like, but I miss like back before I knew all that stuff. And I thought he was like the best comedian out. I really did.
Well, he was a great. He was stealing jokes. He was a great entertainer. It's kind of like the phenomenon with Dane Cook, how Dane Cook blew up. Dane Cook's jokes weren't that good. Like, he was just he had Ron White has talked about it, where like he had a stage presence. Like, he was somebody people liked to stare at. Like, whatever it was that he was doing, whether he was flailing or rolling around on the ground or like waving his arms, he was somebody that had a stage presence, that was very confident in what he was doing. And sometimes if you can just put things together,
was the Kevin Hart before Kevin Hart.
I think Kevin's funnier.
I think Kevin's funnier as well.
I think his sets are better. I think Kevin's old shit is better than his newer stuff. I think his first two big specials that he came out with was his first two, the I'm a Grown Little Man and the he's wearing like a suit in it. I can't remember which one it is. I don't think it's What Now. A couple of his earlier specials are my favorites of his, but But I think overall, because didn't Dane Cook get in trouble for stealing jokes too?
Yeah.
Huh? Maybe that's like a mechanism.
Because that was like a little period though when everybody was getting roasted for stealing jokes and stuff though.
Wasn't that maybe it's like a mechanism? Like whenever you know you're stealing jokes, like you fucking you overcompensate by being like the loudest, like the biggest actor, I guess.
Well, did you ever see like the videos where Joe Rogan was calling out Carlos Mencia?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he walked on stage at the fucking Comedy Store, and while Carlos was doing it, because that was a big thing, and I watched a lot about that too. Was like Joe Rogan would say that he would go up and literally do comedian shit in front of them, like knowing that he took it from them, he would do it in front of them. And like that's some crazy shit, bro. I can't imagine.
Yeah, they were saying like Bobby Lee was one of them, like from Mad TV. Like Bobby Lee was funny too. Bobby Lee was weird. But Joe Rogan was talking about that and like literally had a video of Bobby Lee saying that he stole it, but then like when he found out he was being recorded, he was like, "Oh."
I think I know the clip. You're
have a good day.
Yeah. But yeah, fucking. I remember Carlos Mencia. I mean, I don't know. Now I don't know what was his though. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how far that rabbit hole went of like, because apparently he would steal from like no name comics too. So like people that you would never heard of that would go up at the Comedy Store, he would steal shit from them. So like I don't know what he wrote and what he didn't write and what some other comic like Joe Blow comic fucking came up with. That he was like, oh, that's funny. I'm gonna use that. Like
right, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I hate is because like I miss.
You loved it. Now you can't trust it anymore.
because like it ruined it, right? Like, and I'm aware of it because like it's a super scumbag thing to do. But that's what I was saying. Like I miss back when like I was naive to it, right? And I was like, oh, that not my Carlos Mencia, all right? And then like when all the proofs started coming out, and I was like, oh no, he's a scumbag. Yeah, no, that's clearly he stole that joke. like you said, word for word. You couldn't even like kind of mistaken it. No, it was.
Well, they were saying he would take every joke that had to do with like he would take a joke and steal it word for word, and if it had to do with race, he would just take it and turn it into a Mexican joke.
Right.
Which he's not even Mexican; he's Honduran. Yeah. So. There's that.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, people were just mad at him. People fucking, he was a shithead. He was a fucking shithead. That's all there is to it. And apparently, I don't know how he still has a career. Like, I know that he was one of the biggest comics in the world at one point.
People don't care.
But, like, he legit, people still book him. And I don't know.
It's rage culture, bro. People love to throw stuff at the guy that's down. But at the end of the day, like, they don't really care. I've always been a firm believer in people don't really care.
Yeah, I mean that's why. I mean that's you're not wrong. People will look past a lot of things. There are people. There's all kinds of examples of that. People looking past things that you've done. I mean, there's the Kobe incident. There's fucking I guess the Carlos Mencia incident. Even though he's never really gonna like be Carlos Mencia again, but he's still doing comedy. He still does shows like every week. He's not doing like big theaters, I don't think, but he's still doing like shows. So, I guess just having the name Carlos Mencia, like people will come and be like,
Well, because there's a lot of people that also don't know too. Like, there's a lot of people that just didn't keep up on it. But I've always been a huge Joe Rogan fan just because of UFC and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So like when Joe started saying it, and I trust Joe.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because Joe Rogan doesn't tend to get outraged. He's got a very passive personality. So, like, when you saw him get that mad about something, it's like, oh, it's got to be pretty important.
Goes up and interrupts his set and everything. Fucking.
Yeah, like, dude, man, he was. I don't think I've ever seen Joe Rogan so angry before. And I say that being, like, he almost got in a fight on Fear Factor. And I've never seen him more upset than what he was about.
Yeah.
About him.
He doesn't talk about, like. Over the years, I can't remember him talking about anybody so angrily and so passionately. Like even like if he's talking about like shitty people, he's still like you don't hear him like freaking out the way like he was about that whole situation. That was a weird situation. This is a shitty situation. Like and he's talked about it too. Is like it's he was pissed off more because nobody was saying anything. Everybody's just like letting him do it because of who he was at the time. Like, you know, I don't know though. I don't know, man. Holy shit. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, man.
Told you, man. This talking's easy whenever you're just chatting with the buds, chatting with the boys.
Hour and 20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode because I don't want to be uploading like 2-hour fucking episodes for you guys. But we'll be back. These episodes should go up every Wednesday. That's the goal. Hopefully it's every Wednesday. You guys will be able to listen on fucking iTunes and Spotify and all that shit. I'll either put some logos or images up on the screen, or you guys can just search for it, whatever. We'll have a title on the video and the for the podcast and all that shit. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and listening. And we'll be back next week, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna start with one episode a week and see how it goes, and then potentially do 2, essentially. I think that's
ideally we want to be able to record on Mondays, edit Tuesdays, upload Wednesdays. But when it's all said and done, I don't think it'd be too difficult to do something like a Monday, Wednesday, or like especially if we start getting in a rhythm. Like we can do multiple days a week because I work later in the day. So as long as we got up early enough and had our morning cup of Joe. And did the stream. I mean, not the stream, the podcast.
Yeah, just got to adjust to the workload a little bit and make sure that we're not overdoing it and doing too much. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.